Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you're doing well. I hope you are drinking in the rich meaning of this day. So how are you? Really, how are you? The last 18 months have been trying. The global pandemic has created stress for just about everyone. Sickness, job loss, other economic impact, lockdowns, fear of future lockdowns, mandates, fear of future mandates, an ugly, divisive presidential election in 2020, the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan, the anniversary of the 9/11 terrorist attacks, the death of longtime members in our local church area. So how are you holding up? The goal of my message is to give you hope. My goal is to motivate you to finish the race, a race that we are running in a dark and evil world, a world that Scripture tells us is full of toil and tears. But this too shall pass. Today is a day of great news, amazing news. Our adversary, the accuser of the brethren, the deceiver, the author of sin, our enemy, the evil one, the father of lies, a murderer, the prince of the power of the air, the lawless one, Satan the devil, who prowls like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. He will be restrained and unable to wage war against humanity for 1,000 years. And that is a beautiful thing. So to give you hope, I'd like to take a look at some of the things that are causing us problems in Satan's world and illustrate how those things will be different in a world without Satan's influence. So to lay the foundation of my message, I'd like to take a look at Revelation 20, verse 1 through 3. So Revelation 20, 1 through 3. So probably the most fundamental or one of the most fundamental sets of scriptures for today. So not sure if this will be repeated later, but it's okay. This is a linchpin scripture for atonement. So Revelation 20, 1 through 3 reads, "Then I saw an angel coming down from heaven, having the key to the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. He laid hold of the dragon, that serpent of old, who is the devil and Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years, and cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal on him, so he may deceive the nations no more until the 1,000 years were finished. But after these things, he must be released for a little while." So we see a great thing, right? Our adversary, the evil one, his influence removed for 1,000 years. That'll ease the problems and solve so many things we're dealing with today. So what are those problems? What are just a few of those things that we're dealing with, we're struggling with in Satan's world? So let's start by taking a look at mental health. So how's your stress? Life can throw a lot at us. As I mentioned in my introduction, COVID-19 has ramped up stress level for a lot of people. Numerous studies have shown global increases in anxiety and depression since the beginning of the pandemic. There's a new phenomenon called COVID stress syndrome, which involves 5 fears. So first, the fear of getting COVID, right? The fear of what if I get sick? What if I get infected? Economic concerns, right? What if my business gets shut down, the economy gets shut down, I lose my job? How am I going to support myself, my family? Xenophobia, the fear of foreigners traveling here and there, causing infection. Traumatic stress, extreme stress over the fear of being contaminated with COVID-19. And last, compulsive checking and reassurance seeking. So people that are constantly, obsessively checking the news, updates on COVID, this, that, out of pure fear, stress, anxiety. According to drugabuse.gov, researchers have observed increases in drug abuse and substance abuse overdoses since the pandemic began. Matter of fact, there's been estimated 93,000 drug overdoses in the U.S. since March of 2020. So the 12 months from the beginning of the pandemic, there are more drug overdoses in the U.S. than ever before. But this too shall pass. In the book of Malachi, we're told, the Son of Righteousness shall arise with healing in his wings. So when Christ returns, humanity will be healed mentally, healed physically, healed spiritually. Stress and anxiety in a world without Satan will decrease tremendously. We will be able to live with peace of mind. That sounds great. Hard to do, though, with Satan here to wage war on humanity in every way possible. But this, too, shall pass. What about politics? Do the politics of this world stress you out? Do you recall the first presidential debate of the 2020 election? I kind of hope not. All right, I hope that answer is no. But we had two candidates interrupting each other, talking over each other, cutting each other off. It was heated. It was unproductive. It was embarrassing. Nothing was accomplished other than arguing and fighting. As a people, and when I say as a people, I mean in this country, in this world, we've become incredibly divided politically. Folks on either side of the aisle politically are so much more vicious against the other. There's almost no middle ground. But this too shall pass. When Satan's removed and God establishes his government on earth, Jesus Christ will be in charge. Our new booklet called The World to Come says that Jesus Christ will, quote, be the undisputed sovereign of the entire earth, the Lord of lords and King of kings. Other spirit beings will also help Jesus Christ in his administration. The book of Jeremiah tells us that King David, the resurrected King David, will rule over Israel, and Jesus Christ's 12 resurrected apostles will rule over the 12 tribes of Israel. So with righteous spirit beings ruling the world, things will be completely different. We will have a government motivated by outgoing concern and love for its constituents. Compare that to the governments of today. We have governments largely driven by power, money, and control. We're not there yet, but this too shall pass. What about war? Ever since Cain killed Abel, human beings have been at war with one another. According to worldpopulationreview.com, there are 232 countries in the world engaged in war in 2021. War comes at a huge cost as far as human cost and financially. According to Brown University, the 20-year American war on terror since the 9/11 attacks have cost $8 trillion and killed 900,000 people. There's many who believe that the United States and China are on a crash course to war. Last year, the Chinese leader, Xi Jinping, called on his people to revive the spirit of the Korean War. That's a war that's celebrated in China for victory over the U.S. He also called on the Chinese people to use war to prevent war. Just this week, two rival countries, North Korea and South Korea, both launched ballistic missile tests within hours of each other. North Korea fired 2 missiles into the ocean Wednesday. Hours later, South Korea said it had successfully carried out a submarine-launched ballistic missile. Meanwhile, nuclear peace talks between the U.S. and North Korea are stalled. According to a 2003 New York Times article, the total number of human beings killed in warfare all time is between 150 million and 1 billion people. Big range, but a lot of people. That's just political violence. That's not even the half of it. And when I say political violence, I mean wars engaged by more than one country fighting each other. Interpersonal violence, meaning people killing each other outside of an actual war, kill way more people. Every year, 500,000 people are murdered in this world outside the context of a political war. And to put that in context, that's 1,300 people every single day in Satan's world are murdered. That's 9 times the people that are lost, 9 times the number of people that are killed in open warfare. This too shall pass. Isaiah 2:4 tells us, "Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore." We'll probably hear that at the feast. But think about the prosperity and the peace in a world without war, a world without violence, a world without murder. What about the awesome positive impact that would have on our mental and physical well-being? I realize that's a little further into prophecy, but that cannot happen with Satan present. As long as Satan is waging his war on humanity, human beings will be killing one another. But this too shall pass. As Christians, it's our job to press on, to fight the good fight, to finish the race. Don't get distracted by the mess that is Satan's world. We know things will get worse as the Great Tribulation approaches. Satan, our adversary, knows he only has so much time. But don't lose sight of the amazing future that we have in a world without Satan. There is comfort to come. So Revelation 21:4 tells us, "And God will wipe away every tear from their eyes. There shall be no more death, nor sorrow, nor crying. There shall be no more pain, for the former things have passed away." This too shall pass.